Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. Today's April 3rd, 2024. I hope if the things we discuss here are of interest to you, you'll be kind enough to click the subscribe button. Today we're going to have a short call. I would recommend for those calling in for the first time to listen to our call of March 27th. That's a full call, but this is going to be a short call. There's a lot going on, and frankly, I have over 100 contacts I still need to respond to, a combination of phone calls, texts, emails, and the like, so I'm really going to need to get there. I think we're rounding the fourth turn here, and there's a lot going on, but I'm going to try to touch on it all briefly. I want to start by just doing a brief review of the timeline of the last, 30 days. We've had from March 9th to April 8th the celebration of Ramadan, a very holy time in Islam. It's a time of prayer and fasting, and we are nearing the end of Ramadan. When Ramadan is concluded, there is a post-Ramadan celebration from April 9th to April 14th, referred to al-Fitr. Again, it's a time of feasting and celebration after a month of prayer and fasting. We have similar things in Christianity as well. A lot of times people will fast during Easter, and then after, of course, the resurrection, we have feasting and celebration. So it's similar in that regard. But then we have April 15th, the day after Eid al-Fitr, and that's an important date. Not theologically, but it's an important date politically and economically, because that's when Sudani will be visiting the United States. And it seems to me that there would be absolutely no reason for Sudani to be visiting the United States at this particular time in their religious holiday schedule, unless something of a dramatic nature were going to be happening. And in my opinion, I think the reason that Sudani is visiting on the 15th is because U.S. sanctions on Iraqi banks will be formally lifted, because the Federal Reserve System that's involved with holding the sale of oil globally from Iraq will be lifted. And I also think that there will be a new exchange rate for the new national currency in Iraq. That doesn't mean that it will be announced on April 15th, but I do think between April 15th and April 30th, we can look for the official announcement for the change in the exchange rate. And again, the Iraq II, which is the development fund for Iraq, where funds were channeled through the U.S. Treasury, will now go directly to the CBI. What's been going on lately in Iraq? Well, we know that Sudani has been repeatedly telling his citizens to expect their new national currency. Why would he repeatedly be making such a statement if that were not in fact the case? Sudani, as announced by his advisor Salih, said they're preparing the financial tables for the tripartite budget. Well, first, the term tripartite budget, what does that refer to? Well, it refers to an alliance which has not occurred in Iraq since the removal of Saddam Hussein. A tripartite budget is a budget where the majority in in the parliament, included the coalition framework, which are the pro-Iranian Shia within the parliament, the Sunnis, which of course are in the minority, in Iraq, along with the Kurds. So all three sectarian factions agreed with the 3-year budget. But what do they mean when they say financial tables? Now, they could be referring, of course, to regular adjustments to budgets, which would involve revenue and expenditures. But given everything that's happening right now, it must include a change in the exchange rate, which, of course, will have a dramatic effect on revenue and expenditures. So we've really reached an inflection point in Iraq. I simply don't see how what's going on can mean anything other than the official change in their exchange rate. Also, of course, we've seen they're launching their new stock market trading index, and they have been reforming the banking system, which I believe they've been working hard on as a prelude to Saddam's visit to the United States. So things are really coming together. And again, I don't see how all of this makes any sense if Iraq is to remain in a program rate. As a matter of fact, it can't work. Everything they've done is for naught if they remain in a program rate. Now, I wanted to touch a little bit on the revaluation of the Kuwaiti dinar, because there are distinct differences between what happened in Kuwait, why it happened in Kuwait, and the time frame involved, and of course what has happened in Iraq. But in summary, Iraq invades Kuwait late 1990, and the fear, of course, after they were expelled a mere 7 months later, is that they took with them a lot of the Kuwaiti dinar. And you must remember that the Kuwaiti dinar at the time, and still to this day, is the strongest currency against the U.S. dollar. So what Kuwait basically had to do was to issue a new currency and invalidate the old currency. Now, they had, I think, 60 or 90 days in which to exchange the old currency for the new currency, and then the old currency, of course, was invalid. So obviously, nefarious players couldn't exchange the old currency for the new currency. Only citizens of Kuwait, valid investors, and international central banks and the like could exchange the old currency at a 1-to-1 for the new currency. And the new currency at the time, when it reinstituted, was about $3.47. Now, that's similar, in my opinion, to what's going to happen with the Kuwaiti dinar. I've received a lot of calls from individuals concerned. They're saying they're going to drop the 3 zeros, and we're only going to get pennies on the dollar because they're not going to recognize the provisional 3-0 currency in our possession. Well, there's something called the Socratic approach, going back to the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates, where he tried to resolve an issue through a series of questions. Now, I have to acknowledge at the outset that, yes, that is a possibility, that when they remove the 3 zeros, that'll even affect the 3-0 provisional currency in our possession. But I don't believe that's going to be the case. And I'm going to illustrate that by utilizing the Socratic approach and asking a series of questions. Question number 1. If we are not going to be able, or the central bank will not recognize the provisional 3-0 currencies that are in our possession, why is the government of Iraq, with the assistance of other international agencies, doing everything they can to collect a provisional 3-0 currency? Well, one answer can be that a lot of the 3-0 provisional currency was either stolen or in the hands of some very nefarious characters, and they don't want them to have the leverage of the provisional 3-0 currency. Okay, fair enough. But why then are the Western central banks international hedge funds, large, well-known currency speculators, and even small investors such as ourselves, pursuant to Executive Order 13303, able to even purchase the provisional 3-0 currency if it's known that the 3 zeros will not be recognized at the point of exchange. My simple response to that is that the provisional 3-0 will be recognized if we are legitimate investors, because we're not going to be able to just walk into a bank without any identification, without proof of purchase, and the like in order to exchange our currency. And there's another issue, too. The treatment of the provisional 3-0 currencies, in my opinion, would be treated differently for an Iraqi citizen or national in Iraq versus an international investor as small as ourselves. One reason is that we purchase the currency to assist the nation, and in return, we would be able to exchange it at its true value, not with the removal of the 3 zeros. For an Iraqi national in possession of a provisional 3-0 note, that was because of hyperinflation in country, and they needed the provisional 3-0 note in order to make purchases of necessary goods and services. That's not the case for us. We purchased the provisional 3-0 currency as an investment, and we've made it much longer than we anticipated. But as an American citizen, I go to the bank with my provisional 3-0 currencies. I exchange them at the bank. It's the United States dollar that I will receive in return. I'm receiving nothing from Iraq. Now, the Central Bank of the United States, when they collect all the provisional 3-0 currencies, will then negotiate with Iraq what they can do with those currencies. Can they use it for oil credits at a discounted rate? Will they, in exchange for returning the provisional 3-0 currency, will they have the right of first refusal of international contracts to rebuild their infrastructure? I don't know, and I don't care. The point is that currency, the provisional 3-0 currency, is out of circulation. It will be returned to the CBI. The CBI will summarily destroy that currency. It will never be back in circulation in Iraq. The Iraqi citizens will be utilizing their own new national currency, and the United States and the other Western nations that exchange the provisional 3-0 currency through their central banks to their citizens will basically be diluting their own currencies, which means the dinar will be all that more valuable, not only domestically, but particularly for international trade and purchase. So that's why, in my opinion, when we go to the bank, they will recognize the provisional 3-0 currency. Again, I will say, yes, of course it's possible that they will try to short sheet us and deny us that, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. Because, again, the central banks and the international hedge funds are holding a ton of the provisional 3-0 dinar, and I see no way that it will be recognized for them and not recognized for us. So, again, I'm looking for the month of April for there to be an announcement of the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar at a rate yet to be disclosed. But even if it's at $1, 1-to-1, everyone that purchased a provisional 3-0 currency has made a fortune. 322 is the rate that the currency was, that the dinar was against the dollar when it went into the program rate. Since that time, Iraq is in a substantially better position, and we've had 20 years of inflation to boot, so 322 makes sense. I've offered the price of $4.85, which is a price that some very well-respected currency speculators have given me, based on an extrapolation from the value of the Kuwaiti dinar against the U.S. dollar and what they expect the value of the Iraqi dinar will be given Basel IV compliance, their known natural resources, and their increased ability to bring those resources to market. Now, this is a speculative investment. We are speculating. This is my personal opinion, but it's not based solely on what I believe. It's based on conversations with some people who I respect and who have known for some length of time. It's basically what I wanted to relate for today. I think we're poised for a very good month. Of course, those of us that have been involved in this for any length of time know that Iraq has got a peculiar talent for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, but all of the boxes are being checked. The stars are aligning, and this could be a very, very profitable month for all of us, and I pray that that's the case for all of us again. For those calling in for the first time, again, I would suggest you go to our call of March 27th. It's got the detailed full call on the program that we put in place to assist you. The things we discussed are of interest. Again, it's important that you get your affairs in order and your trust in place prior to the revaluation of these dinar and these other currencies, so time may well be running short. Be a good idea for you to contact us either by email or phone to get our initial no-obligation package. You're under no obligation by doing so, but you'll learn a lot by just reviewing the package. If you wish to proceed with the establishment of a family asset protection trust, everything you need is included in the package. You can contact us by email or phone. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimited LLC at gmail.com. And our phone service is 307-274-4122. We will try to get our package out to you as quickly as possible. As I said, beginning of the call, I have a great many people I have to contact. I'm going to do my very best to get back to all of you as quickly as I possibly can. Our next call is scheduled for next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for listening to the call, everyone, and have a great week. Bye-bye now.